Hello, Honors 10th grade. Today we're going to talk about dolls, and I don't know if any of you are fans of dolls, and if you are, please don't take offense. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and in mine, dolls are just terrifying. I'm just saying. They're just terrifying. Think of the movies, think of the things that happen around dolls. They're just not my favorite. So if they're your favorite, awesome. They're just not mine. And I want to explain to you guys today why. I want you to start by brainstorming what kind of dolls you can think of. I'm going to set this 1-minute timer here in just a moment. And somewhere I want you to write down as many examples of dolls as you can. Are you ready? Here we go. Take the music. How many dolls can you think of? "30 seconds. How many more kinds of dolls can you think of?" "10 seconds. Time's up. Now, hopefully you were able to get quite a few. When I've done this in the past, I've gotten as many as 20-something types of dolls that people have been able to come up with. I'm not sure what's on your list. If you want to come talk to me about it, let's talk, because I like talking about this stuff. But here's some different dolls that I thought of when I thought of dolls. The first thing I think of are baby dolls. Some are really super cute. Others of them, they're okay. They're not my favorites. The idea behind baby dolls is nice. Teach kids how to take care of something. I don't know. Then I start thinking of all of the accessories you can get for baby dolls. Now, I have 3 boys, so we don't have a whole lot of dolls in our house. People just don't buy those for us. But I also have a niece, and I cannot tell you how many strollers she has, how many high chairs she has, all of those different things, the carriers, just so many different things to take her baby dolls around. What about those dolls that you can give baths to, or the real life dolls that poop and pee and you have to feed them? The more I think about baby dolls, the more I'm just a little creeped out by them. Then you have all the different kinds of dolls that you can play with in a different way, right? You've got your Barbie dolls, which used to be a huge deal when I was a kid. They don't seem to be as big of a deal. Again, I have boys, so I'm not entirely sure. No one buys us Barbie dolls. But they were a really big deal. And Barbie can do anything, right? She can be a veterinarian. She can be a mom. She can be a doctor. She can be a lawyer. She can be a grocery store clerk, a waitress. Whatever you want her to be, she can be whatever you want her to be. You also have Polly Pockets. I know my niece loves Polly Pocket dolls. She has the super itty bitty ones, but I know you can get them a little bit bigger too. Here's different Barbie dolls that are after different characters. These ones are from princesses. My sister used to have a Betty Spaghetti doll. I don't know if anyone has ever had those. But then you also start to get into some other very strange looking dolls. This is from Monster High. Have you ever watched that show? It's all about being popular, being pretty, being one of the in crowd. Just freaks me out a little bit. And what about these? I think these freak me out the most as far as the type of dolls that we buy for our girls to play with. They are literally called brats. Aren't we trying to teach our girls not to be brats? And their clothes, little girls don't need to dress like that. Come on. Just saying, again, if you had these and you loved them, you're entitled to love them, and that's great. For me, I'm just not sure I get it. When I was a kid, was more of a tomboy. I would prefer to go play basketball out in the street than play inside with dolls. My sister, on the other hand, was the opposite of me. She used to get mad because I'd rip her dolls' heads off when I was mad at her. I wasn't a very good big sister. I am now. But these are not the only type of dolls that we can talk about. These are all the kid dolls that we can think of, or the ones that I can think of. You can probably think of more. But these are not the only kinds of dolls. We also have the nice dolls, right? The ones that you can buy as like collectibles, the porcelain dolls, those type of things. I think of my grandparents who live in Illinois. There for a while they owned a bed and breakfast, and every single one of the bedrooms was a different theme. One of the bedrooms, the themes was doll. And there were over 150 porcelain dolls in there that my grandmother had collected over the years. Some of them kind of cute, and others of them just kind of terrifying. I don't know. Like this one I think is doctored. Like I don't really like it. But these are like old porcelain dolls that just, I don't know, the more you look at them, the more you're just like, ugh. What's that movie? Annabelle, right? That's what I think of here. You also have other kind of scary dolls. Chucky is a very scary doll, in my opinion. I don't do well with scary movies. That one in particular. Or you have ventriloquist dolls, which just look freaky. I mean, that's a cool hobby to have, but I mean, he just looks scary. Come on. There's an episode of Buffy with the ventriloquist doll that freaks me out. Even the ventriloquist dolls, Vincent in Toy Story 4, they freak me out. I don't know. Then there's this doll. This is from the internet, but I saw this art installation at the Denver Art Museum when I was in college. But you just walk up and it's just like an empty space, and this doll is just hanging there like that. I don't know. These type of dolls are, I think, the reason why I get real scared of dolls. But that begs the question, why? What is it about them? They're just inanimate objects that we're supposed to play with, right? I don't know. Maybe it's something about their eyes, the fact that they just kind of stare at you. Some of them blink. Or it's the fact that you have to take care of some of them. Like I said, the baby dolls that you have to like change their diaper. I'm going to tell you firsthand right now, changing diapers, not very fun. Just saying. Or maybe it's the fact that they're a representation of the real thing. I talk in a different class, and we might talk about it later this year, about real life dolls that people make in order to look 100% real. It's not my thing. It's just something that kind of freaks me out, makes me wonder about where our heads are at when we're looking at dolls and loving on dolls in a certain way. But perhaps it could be different kinds of dolls that we know and are a little bit afraid of, maybe for good reason, maybe not. Let's talk about voodoo and voodoo dolls. And as I talk about this, I want you to keep in mind connotation, which is our assumption about something, versus denotation, which is the reality. You probably have a connotation, an assumption that voodoo is kind of a scary thing. But let's look at the actual background of what it is, the denotation. Voodoo is actually a religious practice. It's based in Haiti. It means servants of the spirits. So our connotation of it is that it's some sort of like evil witchcrafty thing, right? But it's really not. It's supposed to be a religious way to communicate with spirits who have passed on. People who practice voodoo create relationships with the spirits by presenting offerings, creating altars and devotional objects like dolls, and participating in ceremonies of dance, music, and spiritual possession. For these people, this is their normal. This is an okay thing. This is how they connect to their spirituality. We may not think it's very cool, but they do. Voodoo dolls are believed to be a channel of communicating via spirits with the person it is made in likeness of. So you can talk to the doll directly and request anything of that person. And it's a very powerful and traditional part of voodoo culture. So the voodoo dolls that we think of, like, oh, I'm going to poke it and it's going to hurt that person. No, that's just our connotation. The actual meaning of these dolls is some sort of connection to someone we love who has passed on. But our connotations of these things are what makes these dolls a little bit scary. And perhaps for me, my connotation of dolls is what makes things scary as well. Let's also talk real quick about poppets, which is another term for a doll. Really what it is a term of endearment for a little girl or a girl doll. And historically, they're small figures of human beings used in sorcery and witchcraft. They're usually handmade or look like they're handmade. You might think about, well, why are these scary? They're just little handmade dolls. Maybe it's the fact that they don't have faces. Maybe it's the fact that they could be kind of voodoo-ish because they look homemade. They look like they're supposed to be meant for something else. You don't really know. There's also a poppet called the Damn It doll that you can buy these days. Just throwing it out there. Look it up. It's actually kind of funny. Now, Now that I've talked about dolls for a while, I may have offended some of you who really like dolls, which I apologize for. But let's ask the question, well, why are we talking about dolls? It's a great question. If you read Act 2, you might have noticed that there's a doll, a puppet, that is very clear in our second scene of the play, our second act. Reason 2 for talking about dolls is because minute details like that authors put in their writing, they are super significant. They're symbols for something else, for something bigger. Perhaps you didn't think about it as you were reading Act 2 on Wednesday, but let's start thinking about it now. Reason 3 is because we've been watching for power of persuasion and power of authority and collective identity. Those terms have been driving our understanding of this play. So when we're looking at this symbol of this puppet, this doll in Act 2, it might help us understand something that Miller might have wanted us to get when we were looking at that doll and thinking about this scene and what's happening in there. So, thinking about that, here's what I want you to do for your Friday. I want you to make sure you're caught up with your reading. We're about halfway through the play already. We've done Act 1, pages 1 through 15 last week. We did Act 2 this week, 16 through 31. And then today I have a quick assignment for you before you sign off for the weekend. I want you to think about that doll, and then I also want you to go take a picture of a doll in your house. Now, if you don't have a doll in your house, go find one online, but preferably you have a doll somewhere in your house you can take a picture of. You don't have to write about it. I just want to see the picture. Here's the assignment. Here's what it looks like. It will be posted for you today. Let me know if you have questions. I'll be on our Meet link during class. Have a great weekend.